Wind howled over the ridge, carrying dust that stung the eyes. The porch lantern swung, creaking on its hook. The rancher sat in the shadows, shotgun laid across his lap, boots planted. 3 knocks, soft, uneven. The sound cut through the night like a nail through wood. He didn't move at first, just listened. Wind, hoofbeats far off. No, only wind. Another knock. He rose slow, shoulders tight, the boards under him groaning with each step. The door creaked open. She stood there, thin as fence wire. Mud streaked across her cheeks, hair plastered to her face. Bare feet on the porch, shivering so hard her teeth clicked. Please. Her lips cracked as she spoke. Please. Let me stay tonight. The words barely more than breath. He didn't ask who she was. Didn't ask who she was running from. He just stepped aside. She crossed the threshold, legs buckling. Collapsed. No scream. No name. Just a thud against the floorboards and the soft rattle of her breath. He dragged her toward the fire. Tossed an old blanket over her. The flames popped, throwing long shadows against the cabin walls. He crouched near her a long moment, hand never far from the shotgun. Outside, the night stayed alive, the wind kicking at the shutters, the faint whine of the gate chain against its post. He didn't speak, only stared out the dark window toward the tree line. Trouble always found its way back here. Dawn breaks with bitter coffee and a girl's first words. Dawn bled pale across the horizon, turning the yard silver. Smoke curled from the stove, bitter with last night's grounds. The girl stirred, blanket sliding from her shoulders. Her nose caught the smell, coffee, wood smoke, sweat. She blinked at the empty chair inside. He was on the porch. Same as before, still as stone, shotgun leaning against the post, eyes fixed on the ridge road. Not moving, not speaking, she sat up slow, legs stiff. The floor cold under her bare feet. I'm Nita, she whispered, voice rasping. From South Camp. I've been running since sundown. The words came like splinters. They came. Took everything. Killed. Her breath caught. She didn't finish. He didn't turn. Didn't ask. Just reached for the tin cup on the step. Set it in front of her. She knelt, hands trembling, and gulped fast. The coffee scalded her tongue. She kept drinking anyway. When the cup hit empty, he finally spoke. They'll come back for you. The words hung there, heavy as the rifle beside him. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She clutched the cup to her chest like a shield. No sound but the wind cutting across the yard and the faint hiss of the stove inside. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her eyes said it all, wide, wet, and terrified. She already knew he was right. By afternoon, there's dust rising on the ridge. The saddle leather creaked as he tightened the cinch. Breath steamed from the horse's nostrils, white in the chill morning air. He swung up slow, scanning the fence line, the ridge, the tree line. Hoofbeats thudded soft over hard ground. Tracks. Fresh ones. He leaned from the saddle, fingers brushing the earth. Broad hoofprints, deep. Headed west, memory hit like smoke in the throat. Another night, another fire. His cabin burning red against the sky. His wife's scream tearing through the hills, gunfire, laughter, the banker's men leaving him with nothing but ashes. He dug the graves himself, then built this place with his own hands. He shook the memory off, jaw tight, kept riding. Fixed a loose post with a single hammer strike, like the sound could keep the past nailed down. By noon, he headed back. She was outside, broom in hand, sweeping the dirt floor like it mattered. She looked up when he stopped in the yard. Didn't say a word, neither did he, but there was something in her eyes, like she could see the holes he carried inside him. He glanced past her, back to the ridge road. Dust. Thin at first, then thicker. A line twisting skyward, riders, 2, maybe 3, not yet close, but closer than he liked. He set the hammer down slow. Wiped his hands on his jeans. The wind shifted, carrying the sound of distant hooves. He didn't call out to her. Didn't say what he saw, just reached for the shotgun propped by the door. By late afternoon, 3 men ride up to the fence line. Late light slanted across the yard, turning dust into gold. Hoofbeats rolled in from the ridge, slow and lazy, like they had all day. 3 riders came into view, dusty coats, wide grins, horses chewing at the bit. They didn't stop laughing, even when they reached the fence line. The rancher was already there. Rifle resting against the gatepost. Boots planted, silent. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the wind, pushing grit across the yard. Then the one in front grinned wider, showing yellow teeth. "Looking for a girl," he said. "Apache stray." "Ours to take back." The rancher didn't blink. Didn't flinch. Just shifted the rifle slow. Ain't seen her. It wasn't loud. Didn't have to be. The men looked at one another, grins curling into something meaner. The lead rider spat in the dirt. "We'll be back by nightfall," he said. They turned their horses. Rode off slow, laughing again, dust rising behind them like a storm cloud. Silence fell. Then the girl stepped out from behind the barn. Her hands clutched the broom like a weapon. "They'll kill you for lying," she said, voice shaking. "I should go." "Before they come back," he didn't answer. Didn't even look at her, just broke the rifle open, slid another shell home with a soft click, and shut it again. The sound was louder than words, somewhere far off. The rider's laughter still carried on the wind. The sun sinks red as he rides to the neighbor's spread. The sun bled red across the horizon, painting the fence posts like fire. The rancher swung into the saddle without a word. Hoofbeats drummed hollow as he rode toward the neighbor's spread, dust trailing behind him. The yard was empty, the house quiet. He dismounted, knocked once on the door. No answer, only the sound of a dog barking somewhere behind the house, frantic and lonely. A shutter banged against the wall in the wind. He waited a beat longer, then swung back onto the horse. Turned toward home. By the time he reached the porch, the light was dying. The girl was there, sitting small on the top step, knees pulled to her chest. "Is there anyone who will help us?" she asked. He stood a long moment, hat in hand, before answering. Help never comes free. Her eyes glistened in the last of the light. "I don't care," she whispered. "I just don't want to die alone." The words hit like a hammer. He sank down beside her, boots heavy on the step. Neither spoke, neither moved. The air cooled. The wind stilled. Somewhere in the hills, a coyote howled, long and low. They just sat there, listening, waiting. Night falls hard, and the riders return in the dark. Night came fast, swallowing the yard in black. The moon hung sharp, silvering the fence line. Then came the sound, hoofbeats more than before. 6 shadows slid out of the dark, horses restless, breath steaming. The rancher shoved the girl inside, shut the door with a solid thud, and threw the bolt. Voices outside. Mocking, lazy. "Bring her out," one called. "Ain't no use keeping what's ours." No answer. The rancher racked the shotgun. The sound cracked the silence like thunder. A shot split the night. Wood splintered from the gatepost, shards flying into the yard. Everything went still. Then he fired back. The blast lit the yard for a heartbeat, smoke rolling from the barrel. Hooves thundered as the riders scattered, circling. Shouts in the dark. The girl crouched by the fire, whispering prayers under her breath, hands over her ears. Another shot. A rider went down, horse screaming as it bolted. The others wheeled wide, staying in the shadows. Then, boots on the porch. A figure too close. The rancher swung the door open fast, barrel first. The man froze. One breath. Then silence. Wind pushed through the yard, carrying the smell of powder, blood, sweat. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the hoofbeats started again, retreating this time, fading into the hills. The rancher lowered the shotgun, smoke still curling from the muzzle. "They'll be back," he said, voice flat. The girl looked up from the floor, wide-eyed, clutching the blanket like it could keep the world out. Outside, the wind kept blowing. The night stayed long. At dawn, whiskey and bandages bind what the night tore open. The cabin smelled of smoke and iron. The rancher sat at the table, sleeve torn, arms slick with blood. He uncorked the bottle, poured whiskey over the gash. The burn lit him up. He hissed through his teeth, jaw clenched. The girl didn't flinch. She tore a strip from an old sheet, hands steady now, and wrapped it tight around the wound. No tears left in her, no trembling either, just quiet work. He watched her for a long moment. The fire popped in the stove. Somewhere outside, a nightbird called. When she tied the knot, he flexed his arm once, testing it. Pain flared. He grunted but said nothing. You should leave by dawn, he said finally, voice flat. Old mission's south of the ridge. You'll be safe there, she shook her head, braids swinging. Not yet, she said. Not until it's done. For a second, the room held its breath. He didn't argue. Didn't tell her what done meant, just nodded once, slow, like a man who already knew there'd be another fight. The wind pushed against the shutters. The lantern guttered, throwing long, thin shadows across the floor. Morning comes too quiet, and the road stays empty. Morning comes slow, a pale ribbon of light spilling over the ridge. The yard lies empty, fence posts throwing long, thin shadows. No riders, no dust, only the soft rattle of the gate chain in the wind. The girl sits on the porch steps, knees drawn up beneath a wool blanket. Her eyes stay fixed on the horizon, as if willing it to speak. The rancher stands beside her, one hand resting on the rail. His hat shades his face, but the set of his shoulders carries the weight of the night. The land feels different now. Not safe, not calm, like the earth itself is holding its breath. She's the first to break the silence. Her voice is barely above a whisper. What happens now? He doesn't answer right away. Just watches the ridge road until the pause becomes its own kind of answer. Finally, he speaks. We wait. The words hang there, slow and heavy, like smoke from a dying fire. She nods once. Says nothing more. Then he turns, not to her, but to us. When they ride back through here. His voice is steady, low. What would you do? Wind kicks dust across the yard, catching in the air. The camera lingers on him, long enough for the question to sink in. Then, cut to black.